1 in every 3 adults over the age of 40 is walking around right now with cholesterol plaques slowly building inside their arteries. No pain, no warning alarm, no dramatic symptom, just a silent narrowing process happening year after year until one day the person collapses from a heart attack or stroke and everyone calls it sudden. But it was never sudden. The process had usually been developing quietly for decades, and here is the part most people never hear during a rush doctor's appointment. Some of the strongest tools for slowing this process are not expensive medications or miracle supplements. They are food sitting in ordinary grocery stores for less than the price of a cup of coffee. I am talking about simple grains backed by real vascular research, not internet marketing. I am Dr. Kevin, and after years of watching patients struggle with cholesterol, blood pressure, inflammation, and circulation problems, I've learned one thing very clearly. Prevention almost never gets the same attention as treatment. But if you understand what is actually happening inside your blood vessels, the way you look at food changes completely. Breakfast stops being just breakfast. It becomes a medical decision. Let us clear up one of the biggest misconceptions in modern health culture. Cholesterol itself is not poison. Your body literally cannot survive without it. Every cell membrane in your body depends partly on cholesterol for structure and stability. Hormones like testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, and cortisol are synthesized from cholesterol. Your liver uses it to create bile acids necessary for digesting fat. Even vitamin D production depends on it. Cholesterol is a biological building material. So if cholesterol is essential, why does plaque form? Because cholesterol does normally stick to healthy arteries. It responds to injury. Inside your blood vessels is a thin lining called the endothelium. When that lining becomes damaged from inflammation, high blood sugar, smoking, stress, or oxidative injury, the immune system reacts. Cholesterol particles move into the damaged area almost like biological repair material. Over time, repeated injury creates repeated repair, and those repair sites gradually become plaques. Atherosclerosis is not simply fat clogging pipes. It is a chronic inflammatory disease involving vessel damage, immune activity, and cholesterol deposition all working together. Now let us talk about the 3 major forces that damage blood vessels and accelerate plaque formation. The first is chronic inflammation. Smoking, chronic stress, untreated infections, obesity, autoimmune disease, all of these create inflammatory chemicals that injure the endothelial lining of arteries over time. The second is elevated blood sugar. High glucose levels physically damage the inner vessel wall. This is one reason people with diabetes develop vascular disease much faster than others. Sugar acts almost like microscopic sandpaper scraping delicate tissue day after day. The third problem is a diet low in antioxidants and fiber. Without enough protective compounds from whole foods, oxidative stress increases, and cholesterol becomes more likely to oxidize and embed into damaged vessel walls. This is where certain grains become clinically important. Whole grains contain soluble fiber that forms a gel-like substance inside the intestine. That gel traps cholesterol and bile acids, preventing them from being reabsorbed into the bloodstream. At the same time, the fiber feeds beneficial gut bacteria that reduce systemic inflammation throughout the body. You are not just lowering cholesterol. You are reducing the vessel damage that allows plaques to form in the first place. The first grain we need to talk about is buckwheat. Many people eat it occasionally, but most prepare it in ways that reduce its real cardiovascular benefit. Buckwheat contains a powerful plant compound called rutin. Rutin is a flavonoid that strengthens small blood vessels, improves capillary elasticity, and protects vessel walls against oxidative damage. Fragile blood vessels tear more easily, and every tiny injury creates another potential plaque formation site. Rutin also reduces oxidation of LDL cholesterol. Oxidized LDL is dramatically more dangerous than normal LDL because it embeds into vessel walls more aggressively and triggers inflammation. Research has shown buckwheat can significantly reduce markers of oxidative stress linked to plaque formation. Buckwheat is also rich in magnesium and potassium, 2 minerals essential for blood pressure regulation. Magnesium relaxes blood vessels naturally, while potassium helps the kidneys remove excess sodium. Together they reduce vascular tension and support healthier circulation. I once worked with a patient in her 60s whose blood pressure remained unstable despite medication. After adding properly prepared buckwheat regularly into her diet, her readings improved enough for medication adjustment within months. Not because buckwheat is magic, but because nutrition finally began working with the treatment instead of against it. Now here is the important part most people never hear. The way you prepare buckwheat changes how much benefit you actually receive from it. Instead of boiling it immediately, soak whole buckwheat overnight in kefir, a fermented dairy drink similar to drinkable yogurt. First, rinse the grains several times under cold water. Then combine about 3/4 of a cup of buckwheat with 1 cup of low-fat kefir. Add a pinch of salt and a teaspoon of cinnamon, then refrigerate overnight. By morning, the grains become soft, slightly tangy, and easier to digest. Why does this matter? Because buckwheat naturally contains phytic acid, a compound that blocks mineral absorption. Overnight fermentation breaks down much of that phytic acid, making magnesium and potassium significantly more bioavailable. In other words, your body absorbs more of the beneficial nutrients instead of simply passing them through. The cinnamon is not just flavoring. Cinnamon contains polyphenols that improve insulin sensitivity and help stabilize blood sugar after meals. Stable blood sugar means fewer injuries to the endothelial lining of blood vessels. Small preparation details create major biological differences over time. The second grain is oatmeal, probably the most extensively researched grain for cholesterol management in the world. But not all oatmeal works the same way. The key active compound in oats is beta-glucan, a specific type of soluble fiber. When beta-glucan reaches the intestine, it absorbs water and forms a thick gel. That gel traps cholesterol particles and prevents them from being absorbed into the bloodstream. But there's a second mechanism happening at the same time. Your liver uses cholesterol to create bile acids necessary for digestion. Normally, those bile acids get recycled back into the body. Beta-glucan binds to bile acids and prevents them from being reabsorbed. That forces the liver to pull additional cholesterol out of circulation to produce new bile acids. So oatmeal reduces cholesterol from 2 directions simultaneously. Multiple clinical trials have shown measurable LDL reductions from regular oat consumption. But here is the mistake most people make. Instant oatmeal packets are not the same medically. Heavy processing damages the structure of beta-glucan and weakens its cholesterol-lowering effects. Whole-rolled oats that require longer cooking times contain far more effective fiber structures. Now let us upgrade oatmeal into something even more powerful. Prepare whole-rolled oats slowly with water and a small amount of milk. Then add turmeric, ginger, black pepper, and flaxseed oil. This combination creates multiple overlapping cardiovascular benefits. Turmeric contains curcumin, a potent anti-inflammatory compound that reduces inflammatory signaling inside blood vessel walls, but curcumin has extremely poor absorption on its own. Black pepper contains piperine, which increases curcumin absorption dramatically. Without black pepper, most of the turmeric passes through unused. Ginger improves circulation and adds additional anti-inflammatory effects. Flaxseed oil provides omega-3 fatty acids that lower triglycerides and improve blood flow characteristics. Together, this meal doesn't just reduce cholesterol absorption. It actively reduces vessel inflammation and oxidative stress at the same time. This is why food combinations matter. Certain ingredients amplify each other biologically when combined correctly. The third grain is barley, one of the most underrated cardiovascular foods available. In older clinical nutrition systems, barley-based meals were frequently included in cardiac rehabilitation diets because doctors consistently observed measurable improvements in cholesterol profiles. Barley contains beta-glucan levels similar to oats, meaning it lowers LDL cholesterol through the same fiber mechanism. But barley has another advantage. It contains significant amounts of niacin, also known as vitamin B3. Niacin supports healthy HDL cholesterol, the good cholesterol responsible for transporting excess cholesterol away from arteries and back to the liver for removal. This process is called reverse cholesterol transport and represents one of the body's primary built-in defense systems against plaque accumulation. Barley essentially supports both lowering bad cholesterol and improving the function of good cholesterol simultaneously. That combination makes it uniquely valuable for vascular protection. The best way to prepare barley for vascular benefit is surprisingly simple. Cook barley slowly until soft, allow it to cool slightly. Then add plain unsweetened live culture yogurt and berries like blueberries or raspberries. Cooling matters because probiotic bacteria in yogurt die when added to extremely hot food. Those probiotics influence what researchers call the gut-liver axis, helping regulate cholesterol metabolism and inflammation indirectly through gut health. The berries provide anthocyanins, antioxidant compounds that reduce oxidation of LDL cholesterol. Remember, oxidized LDL is far more dangerous than ordinary LDL because it embeds into damaged vessel walls more aggressively. This bowl becomes a complete vascular support meal: soluble fiber from barley, probiotic support from yogurt, antioxidant protection from berries, and niacin supporting healthy HDL function. None of this requires expensive supplements. It's simply food used intelligently. The fourth grain is millet, a food many people abandoned years ago because they remember it tasting bitter. But properly rinsed millet has impressive vascular benefits. Millet contains lecithin, a phospholipid involved in fat metabolism and liver function. Healthy liver function strongly influences cholesterol balance because the liver regulates production of both LDL and HDL cholesterol. Millet also contains silicon, an important nutrient for collagen and elastin synthesis. These proteins help maintain flexible blood vessel walls. As people age, collagen production naturally declines and arteries become more rigid. Dietary silicon helps support vascular elasticity over time. Millet is also rich in magnesium, one of the most commonly deficient minerals in adults over 40. Magnesium relaxes blood vessels naturally and helps reduce blood pressure by opposing excessive calcium activity inside vascular smooth muscle. To maximize millet's benefit, rinse it thoroughly before cooking to remove the bitter compounds coating the outer grain. Once cooked, add fresh lemon juice, sea buckthorn oil or berries, and ground flaxseed. Lemon provides vitamin C, one of the strongest antioxidants protecting cholesterol from oxidative damage. Sea buckthorn is rich in vitamin E and omega fatty acids that directly protect the endothelial lining of blood vessels. Flaxseed adds extracellular fiber and omega-3 fats supporting healthier circulation. Notice the pattern across all these recipes. Every ingredient serves a biological purpose. Nothing is decorative. These combinations are designed specifically to lower inflammation, stabilize blood sugar, reduce oxidative damage, and improve vessel health simultaneously. The fifth grain is pearl barley, one of the strongest grains for protecting circulation to the brain. Japanese physicians have recommended it for decades to support cognitive function in aging adults. The brain consumes enormous amounts of oxygen and glucose, despite representing only a small percentage of total body weight. Any reduction in blood flow to the brain affects memory, focus, processing speed, and long-term cognitive health. Pearl barley contains lysine, an essential amino acid required for collagen production. Collagen strengthens delicate capillaries feeding brain tissue. Weak capillaries become vulnerable to tiny injuries and inflammatory damage. Pearl barley also provides selenium and vitamin E, both powerful antioxidants protecting brain vessels against oxidative stress. Healthy circulation is not just about preventing heart attacks. It is also about protecting memory, concentration, and cognitive sharpness as you age. The ideal preparation for pearl barley begins with overnight soaking. Without soaking, the grain remains dense and difficult to digest. After soaking, cook slowly until soft, then add fresh ginger and cinnamon after cooking finishes. Ginger improves blood flow characteristics and reduces inflammation naturally. Cinnamon helps blunt post-meal glucose spikes, which reduces endothelial injury over time. Stable blood sugar means less damage to blood vessels, and less vessel damage means fewer opportunities for plaque formation. Everything connects through the same biological chain: inflammation, oxidation, blood sugar, vessel injury, and plaque formation. Food either supports or worsens those pathways daily. Here, something clinically important many people underestimate. Age changes how aggressively plaque forms. Before age 40, blood vessels regenerate more efficiently. After 45, collagen production slows, hormones shift, and endothelial repair becomes less effective. After 60, antioxidant defenses decline significantly. Plaque accumulation accelerates because the body loses part of its ability to repair daily vascular injury efficiently. That is why the exact same diet creates different outcomes depending on age. What your body tolerated at 30 becomes much more dangerous at 60. Prevention becomes increasingly important, because the recovery systems gradually weaken over time. So here is the final takeaway after everything we've covered. Cholesterol itself is not your enemy. Chronic inflammation, oxidative stress, blood sugar damage, and vessel injury are the real drivers of plaque formation. Whole grains work because they target multiple parts of that process simultaneously. They trap cholesterol in the intestine, support healthy gut bacteria, reduce inflammation, stabilize blood sugar, improve blood pressure regulation, and protect blood vessels from oxidative damage. But consistency matters more than perfection. You don't need every grain every day. Rotate 2 or 3 regularly into your weekly meals. Let the effect accumulate over months, not days. Food is not magic. It is biology repeated consistently over time. And after years of watching patients struggle with cardiovascular disease, I can tell you this with confidence. Prevention almost always begins long before symptoms appear. The arteries remember every meal, every cigarette, every glucose spike, every inflammatory year. The good news is they also respond when you finally begin working in the opposite direction.